If I were to write a story about my last few years, it would be a tale with lots of bushwhacking. I often feel like I'm in the forest, bumbling about without a bigger vision of my future. Alder branches catching again and again on my bag, daily tasks continually tugging at my attention. Feet sinking in moss and decaying debris, thoughts sinking in the mundane. I came to Rocha hoping to sort out a direction for this bushwhacking, to figure out a mountain that I could head towards quickly and purposely without any detours. I came instead to the Tataloo, a river in no such rush. It meanders through South Surrey, taking a bend this way, a curve that way, before opening up out into Semiahmoo Bay. I always get frustrated when my life meanders in countless incohesive directions, but it turns out that these bends are essential for salmon, providing spots of rest as they swim upstream. As I learned all of this, I began to wonder if maybe the meanders in my life might be beneficial for me as well. Curious, I decided to look a little closer at the Chinook. They intrigued me. With their bits of skin starting to flap off, fresh water decaying their bodies, and yet, even as they were dying, they continued to fight for the life of the salmon eggs they are carrying. Wendell Berry says that we should practice resurrection, and as I watch the mauled and decaying salmon fight their way up the Tataloo, I tend to think that they agree, that they are the epitome of Paul's words to the Corinthians, "Therefore we do not give up." Even though our outer bodies are being destroyed, our inner person is being renewed day by day. For our momentary light affliction is producing for us an absolutely incomparable weight of glory. And the salmon said, "Amen." And I, as I continue this bushwhacking-esque life, meandering like the river, also say, Amen. I've been confronted recently by James 5, where it calls us to wait for God like a farmer waits for the land to yield its crop. When I think of waiting, I think of waiting at a bus stop, twiddling my thumbs, wondering when the bus will come, bored. When I think of our farmers waiting for anything on that farm, be that sun, rain, or seeds they've planted to sprout, it's almost the complete opposite. I think of them plowing fields. I think of them raising beds. I think of them digging trenches, folding tarps, washing bins, taking down greenhouses, washing some more bins, uprooting dahlias, winding up hoses. Waiting for God to do the work of growing, for them in no way is synonymous with being idle. And yet, even though they are powerhouses, even our farmers can't control the rising of the sun. Even they can't control how abundant the kale will be, nor the growth of the rutabaga. And so they wait, not idly, but in preparation for what God will do, whatever that might be. And I want to imitate them, our farmers. But it should be said that not all that grows is necessarily good. On the banks of the Tataloo, there is reed canary grass entangled with Himalayan blackberry, two relentless invasive species. I've been told by our conservation team that it is not enough to cut down or even to simply uproot these intruders. Instead, you need to also plant in native species. Replace the Himalayan blackberry with Sitka spruce. Replace what is toxic with something beneficial, lies with promised truths. Isaiah 55:12 declares, "You will indeed go out with joy and be peacefully guided. The mountains and the hills will break into singing before you, and all the trees of the fields will clap their hands." You will indeed go out with joy and be peacefully guided. I've wrestled with the Himalayan blackberry. Can I wrestle with my thoughts? With the lie that my bushwhacking is aimless, just as viciously? Jesus said that unless you become like little children, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. I've hung out with some preschoolers. They ask questions. They wonder at the sight of a beetle, shriek at the feel of a worm wriggling on their hand, laugh at the honking of the geese, scrunch their nose as they walk by the compost, delight in the taste of lemon sorrel. You will indeed go out with joy and be peacefully guided. These children don't seem to have any trouble believing this. Why should I? Maybe this life will always be some sort of bushwhack. But if it is, how does one bushwhack well? How does one navigate through the shadowed forest while not forgetting the allure of the alpine? How does one stay hopeful after being whacked in the face again and again by a branch? That was the question that was addressed for me at Rocha. God did not clear a direct path for me through the forest. And I'm glad that he's not into clear cutting, that he's more of a farmer into the growth that takes seasons. Instead of a direct path, God gave me people to bushwhack with, people to stumble alongside through the mystery of this season. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for these people, for this way of life, for this transformational hope.